Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Career Chat. I'm Krista Harmon, a workforce development consultant with the Kent ISD, and I'm so glad to have Jill Frey with us today. She's an entrepreneur and hydroponic farmer. Looking forward to learning more about that. Jill, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So everybody, Jill has her own presentation, so she's going to kind of take the floor on today's Career Chat and share her story and information about her career. So I'm going to sit back and I'll try to throw in any questions that I feel are needed, but I think she'll give it to us. Thanks, Jill.
Yeah. All right. Well, welcome everyone. I'm happy to be here. My name is Jill Frey, and I started Super Bloom Farms about 1.5 years ago. And I'll get into my career journey in a minute, but I think I wanted to start out by just showing everyone some pictures of what the heck freight farming is and hydroponic farming is. So this is me standing outside my farms. I have 3 now, and my farms are actually upcycled 40-foot shipping containers. So they are very large, 40 feet by 8 feet wide. And they were once used for overseas shipping of refrigerated products. And about 10 years ago, the company Freight Farms had the idea to take them when they were done with their life as a shipping container and turn them into a hydroponic farm. So what you see here, oh, it's not forwarding. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So this is the inside of the farm. So when you walk in, it's 320 square feet of vertical hydroponic farmland. So inside of each container, you can fit over 2 acres worth of farmland. And as you can see, we're growing up alongside the walls, and you also can see all of the LED lights. So it is not like a greenhouse. There's a lot of hydroponic greenhouses out there. This is completely, there is no sunlight that comes in. All of the plants' growth are from the lights. And so a couple really cool things about hydroponic farming is that we use about 95% less water than traditional agriculture. So right now, when we're not really having this problem in Michigan yet because we're surrounded by the Great Lakes, but fresh water is really becoming scarce. So on the coast, like California and New York, they're using a lot more hydroponic farms like this to grow leafy greens to conserve the water. We also don't have to use any pesticides or herbicides because it's inside of a controlled environment. So it's very clean. When you get the greens, you don't even have to wash them. Nothing has been sprayed on them. And then another great thing is you're bringing the farm to the city. My customers are all within about a 5 to 6 mile radius. So when I'm harvesting, like I just harvested all morning and I delivered it right to the Cascade Meyer, the Nat Corner Meyer. I was at Kingman's this morning. So you're getting really incredibly fresh lettuce directly from the farm. And it typically lasts for at least 2 weeks in your fridge. I just ate some that I forgot about that was 4 weeks old. So it's a really great local food system way to grow. And here's just a couple more pictures of inside the farm so you can see the seedlings. I grow basil and lettuce and edible flowers. And here's a product of the finished product. So pictures of the finished product. So you've got a big, huge bowl of lettuce. The edible flowers are something that I do that's just really unique and different. That's because I'm a small business and I want to differentiate myself from, the huge shelves, especially at Meijer, of lettuce everywhere. So if you go in, you can see my Super Bloom mix that has the edible flowers and the red vein sorrel. So that's a little bit about the hydroponic farm. Any questions so far, Krista? Or?
No, you're doing great. Thank you.
Okay. So since I'm a mom now, I used to be so embarrassed by this pin that my mom used to wear, and now I think it's hilarious. So this is me when I was 15, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I was really into sports. I played basketball, volleyball, I ice skated. For jobs when I was 15, I did a lot of babysitting, a ton of babysitting. And then back in that day, there were no cell phones or social media. So I actually had like my own phone line in my house, my own phone number. It was really cool. I was always talking to friends, as well as when I was younger, they were really pushing for females to go into engineering. So even though I really didn't know what engineering was, I was very excited to pursue a career in it because I was good at math and science. And so that's actually where I started out. And I have a little timeline of my career. When I went to Michigan State, I actually did, and I was in the engineering program. And it wasn't until about a year into my time at Michigan State that I realized I don't know that I liked so much the engineering side of things. It's a lot of math, which I thought I liked, but it was like more math than what I thought I would really like. So I ended up switching to the School of Packaging at Michigan State. So it's like, it's a good path for if you were in engineering. A lot of my credits transferred. So I made that decision to get a packaging degree. And then my very first job out of college was at Newell Rubbermaid. And the reason why I worked there is because when I graduated in 2002, there was a downturn. The job market was not hot then. And so there weren't a lot of jobs in packaging. So I had to kind of be flexible, and it ended up being amazing. That's a piece of career advice I have for you. Sometimes the things that you thought you were going to do and the plans that you had for yourself, they don't happen sometimes, and it ends up being even better. So I was really more in a sales role, and that's what really took me off into sales and marketing. I did end up working in packaging for a while, and then I spent about 15 years in the furniture industry here in Grand Rapids. So steel case. And then about 3 years ago, I went and got an MBA at the University of Michigan. And that was actually the catalyst for me leaving the furniture industry and starting my own business. So I really wanted to take everything I learned in the MBA program and apply it in my everyday life. And so I set off to find something that was interesting to me. And when I heard that you can literally grow food anywhere inside of these shipping containers, I was like, I want to be a part of building a local sustainable food chain here in Grand Rapids. We've also experienced, I love salad, and we had a lot of like listeria outbreaks and recalls and things with product coming from Mexico and California. And so it also just personally made a lot of sense to me to start something in this industry and become a farmer. So I think the biggest thing for me in this new career that I'm in now is, not only am I learning how to be a hydroponic farmer, I'm also, running a business. So when you're an entrepreneur, you're doing it all. I'm hiring people, I'm purchasing all my supplies. I had to learn how to do accounting. So, learning how to invoice people and track what's happening with my cash flows. I'm also learning a lot about, mixing potions and getting the nutrients right and the pH balance right. So not to mention I'm out selling the product and then also marketing it. And I think, as I mentioned, I'm not a digital native. So I did not come from the world of Instagram and Facebook. And so, I told my kids the other day, I made a TikTok account and they were just terrified. And so I haven't posted anything, no one worry. But just learning how to navigate modern marketing as well has been really fun and interesting. So if you are interested in learning all aspects of business, entrepreneurship is great. It's not for the faint of heart. But because I've been working really hard to sell, yeah.
It's not about
It's everything
piece.
else sucks.
Okay, so
I think they muted themselves, luckily.
Yeah.
Sorry about
So I wanted to share pictures of my product on the store shelves. And I'm doing this because the one thing about being an entrepreneur is it's like hours and hours a day of hard work, but then you get to go into, a Meijer store and see, I see my brand, Super Bloom Farms, on the shelf with my products. And it's a really great feeling. And I've, done it not by myself, with a lot of help from many people, but it's a really good feeling to take ownership of it. And for any students that are on the call today, I just wanted to, make a plug for, this is really, this type of farming, hydroponic farming, vertical farming is really the future. I actually run my farm off of an app on my cell phone, which is amazing. So I can get in and I can see, did I turn all the fans on? Are the pH readings right? How many minutes have my plants been being watered? Is the EC correct? Checking the amount of nutrients that are in my water supply. And I'm doing this all, I can do it remotely when I'm there. It's really, really great. So when you think of a farmer, I probably don't even look like a farmer to you. And that's kind of the beauty, that there's so many new types of farming that's coming available because of technological advances. So I just wanted to share that and put in a plug for one of the reasons why, you might want to become a farmer. And then also there are a lot of these farms on high school campuses now, and the students are actually running them, which I think is so fun. And one of my goals would be to get one of these farms somewhere in Kent County and have the students running it. So it's a great STEM class. It's really great for social emotional learning because you're working inside the farm with your peers, other students. And the best part is the students are then harvesting this amazing nutrient dense lettuce and eating it in their cafeteria. And I'm talking about your one farm, you can produce like 12,000 pounds of lettuce per year. So this is a lot. So sometimes the school is not only, providing lettuce for their lunchtime, it's also, they're providing it for like another local school. So it's really, really amazing. Like I said, I think it'd be amazing to have one of these in Grand Rapids. I do have internship programs. And I did just have 2 interns actually from Forest Hills Northern. I don't remember the name of the program. I think it's maybe Project Next, but I had 2 students come and help me on the farm, and it was amazing as part of their capstone project they were seniors. And then I also have interns from a local university as well. So it's really great because you can come in and you don't have to have any experience. You can see the students seeding here on the left. You can see them transplanting on the right. It's very simple and easy and fun, and you're learning and, farming at the same time. So here's a couple of things when I was thinking about career advice, what I've really learned over the years. To start, my first thing is that when you're a student, it's a great time to work all different kinds of jobs. And I did that. I was waiting tables. I worked in retail. I did customer service. I babysat summer camps. Do everything that you can, everything that comes your way or everything that you can find. And my second bullet point is that you will take something away from every job experience that's going to make you a more well-rounded leader someday. Even when you're sitting in a job, maybe for a couple months over the summer that you're like, oh, I don't like this job, or I don't like my boss. Like, even if you're having a negative experience, it's a positive, because you're learning what you want to do when you're older and what you don't want to do, and what kind of boss you want to be and what kind of boss you don't want to be. So I've learned just as much from bad jobs or bad bosses than I did from good jobs and good bosses. So I really encourage you to stay positive and open-minded. And, even if you think you're not going to like a job over the summer or after school, just try it anyway, because you never know what you're going to like. And then my last thing is, in this MBA program that I just took, one of the classes was sitting down and thinking about what you like to do when you were your age, when you were 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I could not for the life of me honestly remember what I really enjoyed. I had like vague memories, but the thing is, and what I encourage you to do, is write down, like, when you're in the state of flow, when you're doing something, whether it's hanging out with your friends, giving them advice on something about, their parents, or, just playing tennis or hanging out? Like, what are you doing that like time is just disappears and just escapes you and you're in your zone? And write that down, because someday when you're older and you're searching for a career and you're trying to understand if you're happy with what you're doing, we really do link back to when we're younger and what did we like to do back then? And are we doing those types of jobs? Are we in leadership roles? Were we a leader when we were younger? Are we extroverts, introverts? All those things actually really, really help you when you're older to see what makes you happy. So do that, please. And then I have the last one is just be curious and open-minded, which I already said earlier. You just never know what you're going to run into, what you're going to like. And it's really important to just be open. Okay.
Good stuff, Jill. Good stuff. Thank you. Well, I wrote lots of questions that I have based on what you were sharing. So thank you so much for that. Looking back when you were a young girl, you said you don't have any memories that necessarily stick out. Did you like being outside? Did you like using your hands? Do you remember being crafty? Because I would think a lot of what you're doing is pretty hands-on.
It is. Yeah. And I think that's the ironic thing is as an adult, I really felt like I was not creative. But then when I thought back as a kid, I'm like, no, I used to make things with my hands and create. And, you kind of, when you get older, you forget, and we're all creative. There's actually I just read a book about this. Like every single one of us is creative. It's just, we're creative in different ways. Some of us are musical, artistic, creative with our speaking. And so I did like to be outside. I did like to create things. I never thought that I would be a farmer. That's just ridiculous because I didn't grow up. I grew up outside of Detroit in a suburb. No one that I know is a farmer. So again, that's that being open-minded and being kind of open to what the universe might come to you with as a career.
Yeah, exactly. And it's such an encouragement to young people that you don't have to have it all figured out as an 18-year-old when you graduate. That's really important. But career chats have helped young people realize. I guess I'm wondering if you remember back the feelings and really the process of changing your major. Because sometimes we decide on engineering and everybody says you're good in science and math and you should be an engineer. What did that feel like in college when you realized, this isn't it? And how did you even decide on packaging? Help us understand some of that stage.
Yeah, so it did not feel good to realize that I didn't like engineering. And then to be honest, I also ended up not loving packaging. And that was because I did an internship and I was doing a lot of material testing. And the person that I was working for actually said, hey, I don't feel like you're happy when you're in the lab. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to admit it, but I'm not. And then he let me go and do packaging sales for a little bit. So I actually found like being honest and vulnerable really got me to be able to go in a different avenue. And honestly, when I told my mom and dad that I didn't like engineering anymore, they were like, yeah, but we've already invested, you've invested 2 years of your time working on engineering curriculum. And that's where the packaging school, just quite on, this isn't like an interesting story. It was like, oh, a lot of my credits would transfer into packaging and it had a really high job placement rate. So let's just go in that direction. So I really feel for young people because it's hard to know what you want to do for the rest of your life when you're 18. And I didn't know, but everything is working out fine.
Well, I think that's what's so true for many adults is that sometimes our careers, we have these different experiences and we get to a certain age where we realize it all came together. Like the fact that you had experience in packaging and marketing. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you needed all those skills. So unbeknownst to yourself, you were building the toolbox for what you needed. And so an encouragement to young people, again, just everything like Jill said that you do as a job will give you a benefit at some level. You might not realize it right away. Anything you want to say on that?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in sales, I was selling packaging and I had to literally go door to door. And I was typically going in through the back door where they were shipping out product. And I was looking to see what kind of boxes they were using, what kind of packaging. And every time I would have a stomach ache that I'd have to go in and hi, my name is Jill. I'm selling boxes. And it was very nerve-wracking, but I kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And I realized I didn't love it and I switched out of it. But today, when I have to go into a restaurant and sell my product or a grocery store, I don't even think about it because I did it so many times when I was younger. And I'm selling something now that I really believe in. It's product that is healthy and I grew it. And that also makes a huge difference. I think obviously it wasn't getting me excited every day to sell boxes, and, you know, realizing that and being courageous enough to make a career change, that's really hard, but you're always happier.
Yes, thank you for that. One of the things I had a question about too is you were in the, I believe it was furniture industry for 15 years, and you decided to go back to U of M to get an MBA. Why? Why did you decide at that point in your career to make that change?
Well, I was pushed a little bit by my employer at the time to, you know, sometimes when you start moving up in your organization and you get to a level, they require you, they want you to get an MBA. You know, honestly, I kind of didn't want to do it. I was a little bit nervous, but again, I took this courageous step and I did it. I have 2 kids and a husband, and so I had a lot of support, but it was very difficult to do. And, you know, you're back in school. I was taking exams again. I was up late studying, but education is never a bad idea. To get further educated is always a good choice. I pushed myself to do it. And that's what really gave me the courage to start Super Bloom Farms, because I'm like, okay, I know what a financial statement is now. I didn't know that. I had been in marketing and sales for my whole career up until then. So I was missing the accounting piece, the finance piece. And that's what the MBA gave me, was a well-rounded look at that. And then like I said, then I felt like I had everything I needed to go start my own business.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that part of your story. I also would love for you to share with the school counselors and students that are on the call, when you decided to do hydroponic farming, how did you start to get that information? Because you didn't know about that. Did you read it in a magazine? Did you see a story on 60 Minutes? Like, how did you even hear about it? And then who ended up being your mentors to help you get into it, knowing what equipment to buy, that there was even an app that did this? Tell us about that part of your story.
So that, I mean, everything is at our fingertips with the internet now. And so I really dug deep online and read a lot about different companies that make hydroponic farms. I started following other small hydroponic farms like on Instagram, and I would message them, hey, do you like what you do? I also reached out. I remembered that there were 2 people in Grand Rapids that were hydroponic farming in shipping containers downtown near the Bridge Street Market. And I worked up the courage. I was nervous. I don't know. I was just nervous to call them because I thought I was going to be another farm and maybe compete with them. They turned out to be 2 of the nicest people. And one of them became a mentor to me, and he happened to be retired. And out of the kindness of his heart, I didn't pay him anything. He would come and help me, and he taught me almost everything I know about farming. And again, that was just putting myself out there and asking for help to this gentleman who I'd never met before. And again, I really the kindness of strangers is incredible. He did not know me, and he did not need to do all the things that he did to help me get my business started and help me get into, help me with the sales portion and pricing and everything. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, that's why I just want young people to hear that part of your story, because we have to be courageous. That's what career chats are about. I'm modeling to you informational interviewing, but this is the kind of conversation you need to have with people who are doing the jobs you think you might like. So that's what this is all about today. So thank you for that. I love that you found a subject, a business that you're so excited about. When you think about farming and meeting the needs of people's hunger, I mean, how satisfying to know that you're helping our earth, saving 95% of water and getting fresh food. What would you like young people to do if they're thinking, man, this is something I might really like? What are some steps they could be doing in high school to advance their experiences or just understanding. I know you mentioned you have had some interns. Is there any other volunteer work that you know of or places that they could work as high school students?
Yeah, I mean, there's another pretty large hydroponic farm in town. I think if they kind of started Googling, they would see that there's a lot of these opportunities around. And then obviously, in school, focusing on science and, being interested in the sciences, because it is a lot of not chemistry, but, I don't want to make it sound too hard because it's not, but you have to learn, you're dealing with nutrients and doing some testing and things like that. And then actually one of my interns you can go on Amazon right now and you could buy a little mini countertop hydroponic farm. And I actually know a fourth grader, she was interested in it. She bought it and her family's eating fresh cilantro off of this tiny little hydroponic farm with a grow light. But sorry, I was starting to say that the intern that I had just recently, she found a system on the side of the road and cleaned it out. And she's growing food for her family in her living room. I was like, wow, your mom and dad are so nice. She took over the front window of their house. And she's using, sunlight and grow lights at the same time, but she's just experimenting. There's just a plethora of ways to jump in and experiment. And what's more cool than now you're eating what you just grew. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that with Amazon and Googling and YouTube videos. There's no reason we can't all glean the information that we need to do any of this.
It's amazing.
What about your packaging? Our last career chat guest was actually did packaging for cheese and the marketing design and stuff. So how did you even know where to go to get some of your packaging and your logos and stuff?
So I because of my old life, I worked in branding and new product development and things like that. I knew I wanted to hire somebody to make a really cool logo for me. And I knew about a bunch of people from the furniture industry. So that was easy for me. The packaging side, boy, I literally buy my packaging on a website called producepackaging.com. Again, you're Googling things. There was millions of packages. I would call and they end up sending you free samples. You kids could do this. You can call, label companies. They sent me free labels to test. It's amazing what you can get sent to your home to just start to learn and understand. And then I started doing little tests to see how long the lettuce was lasting in each of the packages. It was really fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun part of that science and math that you originally went off to college.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Full circle. Yeah.
Full circle. I love that so much. My other question, and we have about 2 minutes left. If you could just give some wisdom to a young person who's trying to figure this all out, you've given a lot of great information, a lot of encouragement, even the screen that's still up in your presentation. Anything else you'd like to share as we finish out, Jill?
I think something that I'm learning now in my 40s is to just maybe not take everything so seriously and stress so much. The young people that I've been working with in the farm, I am blown away by them. I think that the education system is doing an amazing job with these students. They're go-getters. In fact, most of them, I'm more saying, guys, it's you don't have to have it all figured out. I see them stressing in a big way. And I think I was probably like that too. And I think as you get older, you kind of realize that everything happens for a reason. If you just keep doing what doing the right things and moving forward and keeping your nose to the grindstone, good things are going to happen. And we don't need to be as stressed about them.
Love it. You've been a great career chat mentor, Jill. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a great day.